There's only one way to be a pimp, is to have a prostitute. And it's best to have more than one, because to have one is so close to none. She can take sick any moment and you'll be holeless.
I wanted to be down since the age of 14. I remember when I first told my mama, I said, Mom, I know exactly what I want to be when I grow up. She said, son, I know you want to be a lawyer, a doctor. I said, no, Mom, I want to be a pimp.
One eternity later.
On social media,
It's trying to tell me to leave money alone.
Cedric Dorsey painted himself as a pimp.
Why I'm a pimp?
With money, swagger, and influence. After being found guilty at trial this spring, Dorsey is now starting a 35-year prison sentence.
Boy, how times have changed. Back in the 90s, if you were a pimp, you were celebrated. But now if you're a pimp, you're doing probably decades in prison. Let's talk about it. Now, I want to take you back to the 90s, particularly 1998, 1999. And this is what I'm calling the golden age for the pimps. Now, to start this exercise off, let's define what a pimp is. A pimp is a person, especially a man, who controls one or more sex workers, arranges clients for them, and takes a cut of their earnings. Now, back in the 90s, if you were a pimp and you got arrested, you were generally charged with a misdemeanor, and sometimes even released the same day. Now, because the consequences, if you got caught for pimping, were so low, people started getting into the business. And it became really, really big. And for those of you who think this pimp thing is just a black person thing, well, here's another pimp. His name is Mr. White Folk.
This is a very secret society in which I am a member of. I got my name about 18 or 20 years ago. On the low end, actually, before I really got my feet wet in the game, right? And some brothers just started calling me white folks, and ever since then, it just stuck. I was about 20 when I really started getting my feet wet.
And there are even female pimps.
Oh yeah, there's some pimping going on. There's some real pimping going on around here. I'm trying to be like the fella, just get a little money like them. Ain't all gotta be about the man making all the money. I'm a female fantasy. All the girls want to try this. Ain't that right, my wet baby? That's right. Kayla over here. I stepped in the club, and bam, there it was. Pimping all in the game. I ain't trying to come out here and take none of their bras. If they come this way, they know the game. You know the game. Yo, bitch chose me.
Now, even with all that, back in 1999, there was only one pimp of the year, and that guy was Pimpin' Snooki.
Pimp of the motherfucking year, Snooki.
That's a real pimping, you know what I'm saying? International cross-country pimping, right? You know what I'm saying? Out of Milwaukee, you dig what I'm saying?
1998, you know what I'm saying? Mac of the year. You know what I'm saying? One of the big old trophies, man. They say that trophy's taller than New York. They say when all the buildings in New York fall, that trophy still be standing tall.
Yeah, because pimpers are going to be standing so tall.
You know what I'm talking about? Ain't going nowhere, don't care.
So, and this one right here is letting the hoe know, you know what I'm saying? Bitch, you know what I'm saying? Stand strong and stand firm, you know what I'm saying? Hold some pimping, you know what I'm saying? Drop your motherfucking head, you know what I'm saying? And it's full of ice, you know what I'm saying? And let a bitch know, you know what I'm saying? Bitch, this ain't nothing but 3.5 kids, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? A bitch gonna know, you know what I'm saying? It's a pimp, you know what I'm saying? Automatically when a hoe see a pimp, you know what I'm saying? She gonna see out the door, she gonna smell a pimp. He's a pimp, you know what I'm saying? Let me stay away or let me choose, you know what I'm saying? And this one right here represents the king, you know what I'm saying? The pimp, you know what I'm saying? This one right here got the hoe on the leash, you know what I'm saying? And the hoe bowing down, you know what I'm saying? But in the same token, a pimp standing there with the crown, you know what I'm saying? And you flip it over, it tells you know what I'm saying? PIs are pimping international, you know what I'm saying? And this one right here tells you know what I'm saying? Snooki, I'm back. Let me pimp or let me die. You know what I'm saying? Because, I was born a pimp, I'm gonna die a pimp.
Now remember, these guys were just facing misdemeanor charges back then, so it didn't matter if you were sex trafficking or human trafficking like crazy. There was no consequences. Then Congress passed the sex trafficking laws that we live under today.
This case spurred what would become a national outcry for legislation to address modern-day slavery. In 2000, Congress responded. Under the leadership of former Senator Sam Brownback and Representative Chris Smith, whom you'll hear from shortly, Congress passed the monumental bipartisan Trafficking Victims Protection Act. This landmark piece of legislation changed the landscape of the conversation around human trafficking and elevated the U.S. government's capabilities to combat this evil. The TVPA created a number of protections for victims, ensuring that they had access to necessary services. It also sharpened prosecution capabilities, criminalizing a broader scope of human trafficking-related crimes and requiring convicted traffickers to provide full restitution to their victims.
So this single piece of federal legislation destroyed the pimp game. It turned these pimps who were facing misdemeanor charges into felons facing decades-long prison sentences. And remember our Pimp of the Year from 1999, Pimpin' Snooki? Well, he's now doing decades in prison.
The man known as Pimp Snooki is headed to federal prison for decades. Derek Avery, seen in this 1999 movie, was sentenced to 20 years in prison Friday in federal court in Milwaukee. Avery prostituted scores of women and girls in cities from all the way from Milwaukee to Vegas for at least 16 years. Some of those girls as young as 14.
So Pimpin' Snooki, he's gone away, but a lot of other pimps went with him.
Sergeant Dan Steele runs a new Denver task force. They call themselves the Pimp Hunters. The mission is to put a dent in the growing number of women and underage kids forced into the sex trade, an estimated 100,000 children alone.
People have a tendency to believe that this is something that is foreign countries, and it's all about people being brought in from Indonesia or something like that, which happens, but it's also about our kids and our neighborhoods and our children.
3-day nationwide human trafficking sweep in 76 cities resulted in more than 100 children being rescued and landed 150 pimps behind bars tonight. 2 of those pimps were arrested right here in Cincinnati.
Epidemic hiding in plain sight. An estimated 100,000 underage American girls in our nation's cities and suburbs, victims of sex trafficking. Over the weekend, ABC News was granted exclusive access inside the biggest ever nationwide crackdown. In 72 hours, 79 kids were taken off the streets and over 100 suspected pimps were arrested.
So now, with all this, pimping became very, very, very dangerous, especially for the pimps, because now you're looking at decades in prison for pimping. But that doesn't stop everybody. And in our world of social media, this idiot makes sure to tell everybody not only that he's a pimp, but also to record all his crimes for all to see.
So trying to tell me leave alone?
On social media,
It's trying to tell me leave money alone.
Cedric Dorsey painted himself as a pimp.
Why I'm a pimp.
With money, swagger, and influence.
SCCC 333.
But investigators say his lifestyle was built by forced sex work, as Dorsey trafficked a woman into prostitution in Seattle, Bellevue, Kent, and Las Vegas.
When they served the search warrant on his premise, they recovered $12,000 in cash, along with those 3 firearms, one of which was stolen, and a banned firearm.
King County prosecutors hit Dorsey with charges of human trafficking, promoting prostitution, and unlawful possession of a firearm.
Now, this pimp got 35 years in prison, so he's not getting out anytime soon. And would you be shocked if I told you that the Players Ball, where they named the Pimp of the Year, is still going on? The last one was January of this year. It's like saying, hey, here are all the sex traffickers all in one place. We're going to give them an award. Come lock them up. These people must be idiots. So as always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me if you think that the government went too far with putting these pimps in jail for essentially life. My opinion, this was long overdue. These people should have been doing 20, 30 years back in the 90s. And for them to be celebrated this way, I think is disgusting. But that's my opinion. As always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer. I'm out. Peace.